Hello and welcome to WTF Stories and Advice. I am Caroline Cranshaw, and today I have the amazing, wonderful, incredibly handsome Daryl Gove.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Now, Daryl is another hypnotherapist like myself, and he is the other trainer at my hypnotherapy school.
Great fun. You should hang out with Caroline more like me. It does not make you insane.
So it's interesting how I started the school. Yeah, because I have a hypnotherapy school teaching hypnotherapy, obviously. And it was a client of mine who was training hypnotherapy. And she said, "Why aren't you doing this? Where I'm training, they're not teaching us this type of stuff." And I was like, "Oh, well, the other school's really good." And she said, "It is, but, there's a lot of stuff that you do that, it would be great for people to learn. You should start your own school." And I was like, "Oh, I don't know." And she said, "And if you do, you have to get Daryl to come teach it with you." Because Daryl is a teacher at the other school. And I was like, "Well, I don't think they would appreciate me not only starting a school, but also poaching their best trainer." And she said, "I don't care what you have to do. Who cares if you piss them off? You're already going to piss them off anyways. Get Daryl." And this woman has a PhD and has done so much, training and learning and studied with so much tutors. And she said Daryl is literally one of the best tutors she has ever been taught by. So I thought, okay, I would like to poach him, but I also thought, well, it's kind of not really ethical. So I said to her, well, if he contacts me, then it's fair game. And so it's interesting is literally the next day, he signed up to the email list of the school because I had just put a feeler, kind of put a website up and said I was going to do this. And I thought, there you go. He's contacted me. That's how we met, isn't it? I contacted you and said, "Hey, I want to poach you."
And that's the interesting thing about energy. If you put your intention out there, then shit comes to you.
Yeah.
And it's also the great thing about being a contractor. It means I get to choose who I work for, where I work, when I work. And I've known about Caroline for many, many years. When I first trained to become a hypnotherapist, I had to look up websites for therapists that I liked, and I found hers. And I watched a video where Caroline explained her philosophy. And I thought, I like that girl. I like her. I want to know her.
She's crazy.
She's crazy. So yeah, it's been great having a first year working together, and now into our second year launching this weekend. So I'm excited.
It is. It's super exciting. So Daryl and I both have lots of crazy stories working with clients and just different experiences that are quite out there. Daryl is also a very spiritual person like I am. So I asked Daryl to just come up with a few stories, but not to tell me, right? I don't want to know beforehand because I want to hear it for the first time, just like you guys are. So Daryl, do you have tell us, what stories do you have? Or a story?
Okay, so I've got a lot of creepy stories,
Yeah.
a lot of crazy stories, and I think I've got a good one for today. But to set the scene,
Okay.
as you guys might pick up, I'm Scottish, so obviously I'm sitting here in my kilt. And Caroline...
Do you have undies on, Daryl?
No, I'm true Scotsman, so of course not. And Caroline's here with me because it's been so hot. We've had a heat wave in New Zealand. She was actually naked when I came in today. And I insisted that she put on some clothes. So she is now thankfully dressed, so I can concentrate on my horror story.
That would be a horror story for you as well.
Yeah, so the gays sometimes do appreciate a woman's beauty. No, but seriously, yeah, good question. So I've got a story about demons.
Oh, okay.
And at first, I was in clinic with my clients. And I started off with this one client who had a big problem. So I took them on this journey, this meditation, where they were kind of exploring what the problem was and where the solution was. And they were in a really safe place. It was beautiful. It was magical, in a garden surrounded by beautiful trees and beautiful birds. And there was angels. And then all of a sudden, just a hair pricked up on the back of their neck and their body physically changed. They just went rigid and just looked terrified. And I was like, what has just happened?
Yeah.
And they said,
I'm like, "Oh, I'm scared." Yeah.
There is a demon here.
What? They said that?
They said that.
Okay.
There's a demon here. And they described him as, well, I say him, but the demon as like a black, thick outline. But it was the energy of it, the feeling that came with it was just terror and fear.
Could you feel something in the room as well?
Yeah. My as soon as she said the word demon, my arms, like all the little bumples were pricking up. And I was like, okay, I haven't dealt with this before. I wasn't trained in how to deal with demons that pop into hypnotherapy sessions.
You should have come and talked to me, honey. I could
I
have told
know.
you that. Anyway, sorry.
No, you're right. It's I wish I knew you then. So what I ended up doing is just using my intuition. I'm a spiritual guy, and I'm like, well, what kills demons? But like light and love. So I had them get all their ancestors, all their guardian angels,
Yeah.
and all send so much light towards this demon until it vanished
Nice.
and it went away. And then we finished what we're doing. They came out of trance, and we're like, what the fuck was that? But however, I didn't think too much more about it. Went about my day, and then a few days later, another client came in, and midway through the session, oh my god, there's a demon here.
What?
I'm like,
Oh, I'm getting goosebumps
oh,
now. Really?
this is creepy. This is creepy. At the time, I was using my mom's house. She had a room in her house set up as a clinic. So it was a beautiful house with this beautiful view of trees and nature, like a whole wall of glass. So it wasn't the kind of creepy place that you would expect.
Yeah, like an old Victorian that's like dark and yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So it was weird, but I went with it. I had to reflect that this has happened to more than one client. Is this coming from me? Like,
Yeah.
is there something attached to me, or am I attracting people with these problems? Then it happened again,
Oh, Jesus.
and I was by this time beginning to get a little bit freaked out.
Yeah.
So I went to get some hypnotherapy of my own.
Yeah, good.
And at the time, my ex-husband was learning hypnotherapy. He didn't continue the studies, probably because of what happened next.
Yeah.
Which was like, okay, you need to hypnotize me and let's see what's going on. So this time I'm going through this trance and, bringing up all this stuff from the past, all this old stuff. And lo and behold, boom, demon appears in the middle of it. And to describe what it's like to be in a trance state, to be in a safe place, and to have a demonic energy enter,
Yeah.
and just to be present there, it's like the opposite of meeting God. It's like the opposite of divine. It's so dark that it sucks all of the love and hope out of the room.
Yeah.
Like the Patronus and Harry Potter analogy, the Dementors, it's similar, but no, that's nowhere near creepy enough. Demons are creepy.
Yeah.
So following on from this, a number of things happened. There was one day that I was sitting in the lounge and we had a Harry Potter, probably book 4, sitting on the kitchen table, and it just slid along the table and dropped on the floor.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
And we're like, okay, creepy. My sister put out the rubbish. It'd been there for 2 or 3 days. There was no holes in it. It was a tied bag. Nothing could get in. And it started moving like something was trying to burst out of it.
Oh, my God.
We untied the top because there was no hole, and a blackbird flew out of it. And we're like, creepy. You're like, this is not normal.
Blackbird. Aren't they symbolic of something or?
I didn't want to look it up because I'm pretty sure they are, and I'm pretty sure it's not good. So I was like, I'm going to stay away from reading that.
Yeah.
Then I was in the kitchen again, and there was a few of us, and I started coughing. And I was like,
Oh, no.
And I coughed, and no joke, a beetle flew out of my mouth.
What the fuck? Are you kidding?
What the actual fuck? Like, until then, I'm like, this could be a ghost.
If you could see my face right now, I'm like, my eyes are popping out of my head. A beetle flew out of your mouth. That's not. I would fucking lose my mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, oh my God.
I kind of did a bit. I mean,
I bet.
that's about as creepy as you can get.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it went on for a while. And actually, I'm not a Christian, but I grew up Christian, and I believe in God and angels and all that kind of stuff. And so I went to a Christian counselor, went to a safe place, someone that would believe me.
Yeah.
She happened to be good mates with the #1 exorcist in New Zealand.
Oh, nice. I could have used their number a while ago. Yeah. Go on.
Well, if you ever need it, I know how to get in touch with them.
Okay. Yeah.
And so we did a lot of things. We basically cleared it. I won't tell you what we did because you can get in touch with us and we can help you if you need them.
He offers exorcisms on the side. Yes.
Side exorcisms.
It's a side job. Yeah. Go on. Sorry.
So once I cleared the energy around where I was living, and actually, I won't tell the story today, but there was an object that had been given to me in Scotland, and it was given to me by a very bad person.
Okay. Yeah.
And I kept it because it was a chunk of petrified wood from the Sahara Desert, and it was fucking cool.
Yeah.
But eventually I realized I needed to throw that away.
Yeah.
So I threw that away. And I also got rid of something else that I thought carried a negative energy. And I just cleared my space and got rid of any protection. Now, this is the opposite of what a spiritual person might do.
Got rid of any protection.
Yeah, I had
Okay.
at this stage, because I was so creeped out, I had like selenite and obsidian in the windows and wearing necklaces and everything to protect me. But what I had to learn is if I think that I need something for protection, that implies there's something to be protected from, that
Yeah.
something can harm me.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And I realized nothing can harm me. I'm light. I'm pure light. And that's
Mm.
all you have to remember is you're pure light, you're love. Stay in that place. Don't let them trick you into thinking you're anything else.
Yeah.
And so as soon as I did all that, it was like you've just been through winter and then the sky opens up and it's beautiful and life just changed and was happy and my clients never had demons again.
Thank
Thank
God.
God.
Oh my-
Because I would quit if I kept having that.
Yeah.
So
Wow. I'm still stuck on the beetle flying out of your mouth. That would just, I think I would, I don't know, drink bleach or something. I would freak out so bad. Not that that's a good way to get rid of anything like that. But holy shit. Yeah, because I had a similar experience where I had clients kept like coming with things that were attached to them. And you can, yeah, I don't know which podcast it is, but just really creepy stuff. And I went and talked to my daughters go to Catholic school. And I went and talked to the priest, and yeah, he gave me
yeah.
advice on how to get rid of that. But it's actually quite terrifying, though, isn't it?
It is. And, I didn't know that anybody else experienced this until I met Caroline and started to hear her stories. And it's something that's important. If you're a spiritual person, if you're open, then you're going to come across other people that are like, I need you, because they know that you've got information that can help them.
Exactly. I think for me, it got so terrifying that, I was having nightmares and all kinds of stuff that when I went and talked to that priest, he said, you can ask God for it to stop. Like, obviously God thinks
Mhm.
that these people are, that you can help these people and that therefore this is something you can do, but you also can ask it to stop. And so I did, and it stopped. Like, and I am not a religious person either, but I do believe in God. I do believe in some type of higher intelligence or energy or something. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was interesting how it did just stop. And I mean, I still work with people with multiple personality disorder, or DID is what they call it now, dissociative identity disorder. But yeah, I haven't had any demons or attached spirits or anything like that, which is nice.
Thank God. Let's just have the angels now.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I feel like I did, that was kind of like my resident, training as a doc, like you have to go through hell when you first start out. And I know that if that comes up again, I'll be perfectly capable of working with it. But I'd rather not have that be my day to day.
Yeah, not all day, every day. Once in a while, it's exciting even to get a bit of that. I mean, but since watching the Netflix program Lucifer, I've kind of
Oh.
reframed the devil and demons in my mind. They're now cool and hip. So
Well, that's good. I mean, a lot of people blame, drug addiction and all kinds of stuff on demons. And I don't know if I really agree with that, but it's interesting. I was talking to a client recently who was talking about how her son was a drug addict. And for 10 years, he was a terrible, terrible drug addict. He was homeless, stealing, all kinds of issues. And she heard about this healer who's down in the Coromandel, which is in New Zealand, in a more kind of rural area, very beautiful tropical part of New Zealand. And so she drives him like 3 hours to this healer, and he just had him lay on a table. And she said she watched him and he kind of put his hands over him. And she said, I watched an exorcism, is what I watched. That this something black rose up out of him and like stood in the corner of the room. And the guy was like, get out, the healer.
Wow.
And her son, after that, never touched another drug. He was absolutely fine. His mental health issues went away. And we're talking someone who had been hardcore for 10 years. And she's not like, an uber Christian or anything like that, but she's like, there are things that we cannot explain. And I watched it with my own eyes and watched it come out. And this man talked to what I was seeing as well
Wow.
and saw my son change into a different person.
It's creepy and it's almost unbelievable, but you can't discount personal experience. And I've heard these stories before and I've seen them where people have an addiction, a drug addiction, alcohol addiction, cigarette, whatever, or a way of behaving, even a sex addiction, and then they have an exorcism and it goes away. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that demons cause this, but maybe sometimes they're involved.
Or
Because
some type of energy, or it could be just a metaphor for the subconscious of a way of, the person is ready. Because I have an open mind, but not so open my brain falls out. Right. So,
yeah,
and I believe in all the spiritual stuff, but it could be just a bit of a delusion. I'm open enough to be okay with that being it. I'm not saying that's absolutely true. So maybe, playing devil's advocate, this is the time that they're actually ready to change. And so it's the perfect metaphor to do so. But I don't know. It's crazy.
it makes perfect sense. People talk about overcoming their demons. And
Mm,
what is hypnotherapy if not, using metaphor to
yeah,
to create change? So I don't think it matters. Like for me, is it real? Is it a metaphor? The solution is the same,
exactly.
So yeah, that's exciting.
Wow. Good old demons. Well, I have a story of a time that I did a citizen's arrest, and I guess it could kind of tie in with things influencing people in a way, or it might be an explanation. I don't know.
Why am I not surprised that you have done a citizen's arrest?
When I was probably about 19 years old, and I worked in a salon, and I sold shampoo, right? I was like the receptionist, and I sold the
Yeah.
shampoo products and kind of helped out. And we had quite a lot of different shampoos and a lot of stock in the salon. And one day this woman walks in, and she is wearing, it's a summer's day, she's wearing this little, like, it's kind of like an army green hot pants, I would call them, like the tiniest shorts, basically undies,
Cute.
and a little crop kind of bra top, right? Amazing figure. Absolutely stunning figure. She could wear it. Hot spike heels. But I mean, she basically looked like she just got off her shift on the pole, right? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was an extremely tiny outfit. And she, struts in and she kind of looks at me. I look at her like, okay. And we had this rack of kind of hair clips, all these different like hair things. And she walks over to it and she turns her back to me while she's looking at these clips. And she turns around and she looks at me and she takes her hand and she pulls her shorts up her ass, like making them into a G string.
What?
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay. Dinner and a show. Let's go. I thought this is interesting. And so she looks back and and I'm looking at her like, what the fuck are you doing, lady? And she grabs like a handful of hair clips and shoves them down her top. Like just while I'm watching her, so blatantly obvious. And I'm just like, really? And she's like, hmm. And so then she kind of like walks around the salon. I'm like, you need to take those out of your top, sweetheart. And at this salon, if you caught someone shoplifting and you were able to call the police and get a report, you got $100 bonus.
Nice.
Because I guess it was good for their insurance or something, because people are always stealing stuff. And so part of their insurance or stock, the more they could prove shoplifters, the better it will, like, I guess they got their losses covered or something like this.
I got friends in loss prevention, and literally places lose millions. They lose so much money just from this grazing, from a little bit of shoplifting here and there.
Yeah.
So no, you do whatever you can to stop that shit.
Well, and I was very vigilant because of that, because I liked $100 bonuses, right?
Yeah.
I'm like a uni student with no money. And so I was like, you got to put that back. And she's like, are you going to make me? And I was like, yes, I am. So I'm walking now towards her. And so she starts like trying to run out of the shop on her like 6-inch heels.
Good luck.
And yeah, so she gets out of the shop and I grab her by the arm. I said, you need to put those back. And she was like, no. And so we're struggling and she falls onto the ground and is like trying to get away. And the security guard comes up. And so I'm like trying to hang on to her. And the security guard comes up and I'm like, what the hell? So she starts screaming, rape, rape.
Clever.
Oh my God. Going, I'm not raping you. Give me those hair clips back. And I'm like, what? Grab her, like how, because he's just literally standing there watching us, smiling,
Having a good time watching two girls tumble around on the floor.
basically. And he said, well, you have to hang on to her. And so he like radios into the police or whatever. And he's like, you have to hang on to her. I can't touch her. So you have to hang on to her until the cops get here. And so she's like fighting me. And so I just get on top of her. I'm probably a good 20 pounds heavier than her. And laying on top of her, pinning her down. And she's
Wow.
humping up and down, going, rape, you're raping me. And so we're gathering a crowd now.
Oh.
Right? There is probably about 15 people going, what the hell? And people are like, get off her. And I'm like, she's a shoplifter. And so we were like So, I mean, by this, people are coming out of the stores. And she's screaming though, and she's like, my husband's in the hospital and he shot himself in the head, and I need to get home to my baby. And as I'm struggling, I'm noticing she's got track marks on her
Right.
arm, right? And I'm going, oh God. And she's like, and my husband's on life support and my baby's at home. I need to get home to my baby. And I was like, bitch, you're getting arrested. This is not okay. And I'm thinking, you're full of crap. So the cops show up, they put her in the back of the cop car. I get my little police report and, my boss saying, right, you get a $100 bonus, woohoo.
Nice.
And it turns out her husband was in the hospital on life support.
Okay.
Cops came back the next day and they went to her home, and she had left her year-old baby in its cot, and it was seriously neglected, and it was terrible.
You could have saved a life by holding on to her there.
It was like she was asking to be arrested. Like, why would you, if you're going to steal something, wouldn't you at least be discreet? I mean, most people, when they try to shoplift, they're not trying to do it so you're watching them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think subconsciously she must have wanted to get arrested or something, it was a cry for help, but it was really quite disturbing. And yeah, but maybe she had a demon attached to her.
Could be. I mean, when someone's in that situation, so she's drug addict, she's neglecting her child, things aren't going right for her.
No.
Like, she's in a world of pain, in a world of a bad time. And by showing you what she's doing, that's tempting. That's saying, look, I'm committing a crime, stop me.
Yeah.
And then she doesn't like being caught. Nobody likes being chased or caught. So that part of her mind is going to come up and go, no, get away, run.
Yeah.
But the part that wants help called out, and you were there to hear it. And so, well done. That baby is more likely to be alive and thriving.
Well, that baby's probably in their 20s now. So, yeah.
And she probably doesn't have any hair clips because you stopped her bringing them home to the baby. So,
oh, it was terrible. I know. It's probably not the happiest story, but my God. But to be screaming rape and humping up and down, it was just, yeah. I mean, everyone, would just make fun of me after that. That place where I worked.
And if you want to attract attention, isn't it right that you should shout fire instead of rape? Because people are scared to go and stop a rapist. But if you shout fire, everyone wants to come and look. So if you are being attacked.
Oh, it was. Yeah. So then people would joke that I was a rapist. So I was like, oh no, it's not good. But anyways, yeah, that's the story of my citizen's arrest. And I don't know if I feel proud of that or not, but that's what happened. Yeah. So what about you, Daryl?
Well, I think we might need to lighten the mood. So
yeah.
How about I tell you a story?
Okay.
Okay, so this is a story about anal sex. So if you're not into that, then you might like to switch off now. But for those who do enjoy anal sex stories, here it is. So I was at my friend's house. I won't give you her name.
No, don't give us your name or any identifying details.
No names. The first time I met this friend was through someone else, and all night I got poo stories and sex stories, and I was like, I love her. She's hilarious. She fits in. Being British, we love our toilet humor.
Yeah, so do Americans.
One day I was around her house and she was like, okay, so I've got this friend and we've got a Facebook group where all these girls, they swap stories about their dates, about their life, about whatever's happening. Nice. And she goes, look at this one. And we start to scroll through it. There's about 5 of us reading this at the same time. It's like, so my boyfriend, the guy I'm dating, asked if I wanted to try anal sex. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, I haven't done it before, but I'm open to that. So let's give this a go. And so eventually we get down to it and sitting on top of him, it's he's sticking it up. And she's like, I'm like, oh, it's not too bad. And he maybe isn't enjoying it as much as he thought he would. So he's like, quick, push.
What?
And he wants her to push back against him, put her pressure against him.
Oh no.
But she did what you just did and got confused.
And bear down.
And she pushed with her bowel and shat all over him.
He must not have had a very big dick.
Couldn't block it in. But now everyone knows, and we're in a small community, so everyone knows about the girl that shat on her boyfriend. And
oh no! Yeah. I don't even know what to say to that. And I am rarely at a loss for words, Daryl.
Well, as I say, poo stories and sex stories, and here's one with both. So, yeah, I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you. Yeah, you know what I find interesting is that I do a lot of fear of flying, right? You would do a lot of fear of flying as well.
Heaps of fear of flying. I love it.
And one of my theories is that a lot of people who have a fear of flying have irritable bowel. Now, this is not a theory, but this is what I have found. To the point now that when people come to me and they have this fear of flying, I ask them, one of the first questions I ask is, "Oh, so do you have IBS? Do you have irritable bowel syndrome?" And they're like, "How did you know that?" And yeah, I would say like 80% of the people who have this fear say yes. And what I found is that because of that, what their actual fear is their fear of shitting themselves. Because they can't, there's a lot of times on a plane where you can't get out of that seat.
Yeah, a lot.
And yeah, so if you got to go, and especially if you've got irritable bowel, you need to be able to go quickly. And so, yeah, I find it really interesting that I think for some people, it's a fear of pooping yourself.
Yeah, I noticed that it correlates strongly, but I also noticed that, tell me if it's the same for you, but my clients that have phobias tend to be more anxious in general.
Yes.
And people that are anxious in general tend to have IBS
Yes.
when they have a lot of it.
That's a very good point.
So it kind of comes together a little bit. And I would agree that the fear is very often not of crashing, although very often
Sometimes it is, but yeah, it seems like a smaller percentage that it's the fear of the plane crashing, them dying,
and
that
then,
it's other things.
exactly. And it could be fear of like shitting themselves or not being able to use the toilet, wetting themselves. Is just as
Vomiting.
common, vomiting or having a panic attack and passing out. So all of those things, but luckily it's fucking easy to fix. I don't know about you,
Yeah.
but for me, if someone phones me up and says I have a plane phobia, I'm like, oh, I'm not even working today. This is so easy.
Yeah, it is. It is a pretty easy one for some people. I think some people who've had trauma, or I've had people who've lost a loved one in a plane accident. I think that can be, it takes a little bit more. But yeah, most of the time, I mean, phobias in general,
Yeah,
I find easy.
I agree. Every now and then I come across someone that's had a big trauma and
Mm.
had something really serious happen and they've developed a phobia. More often than not, it's just something that they've learned somewhere along the way or that's come slowly over time and it's easy to reverse or rewind.
Yeah. It's funny. I find whenever I fly, almost not every time, but a lot of the time, I end up sitting next to someone who's afraid of flying. And so they
Ah,
start panicking, and I'm like, "Okay, honey, here we go. It's okay. We're going to have a little chat, and you're just going to listen to me, and you're going to close your eyes." And yeah, and literally, like three people around me will be like, "Can I have your card? What are you doing?" Da, da, da. And the person's fine. And yeah, it's really interesting. I think it's like almost like the universe is like, sit next to her. You'll be okay.
probably she prayed for help or asked the universe for help and the universe put you guys' energy together
Yeah.
and you're sitting there.
That's funny, isn't it? Because I'll
Yeah.
like pick my seat almost always on a plane as well. I
Yeah.
always choose what seat I'm going to sit in. So maybe it's my subconscious mind, my intuition guiding me to sit next to that person. Or, yeah, like you said, universe could be. It's interesting. Like in helicopters, I think freak people out as well. It's such a shame about Kobe Bryant and his daughter and the other people that were on that helicopter. But what's interesting is what I found out is that do you know that helicopters don't have black boxes?
So they don't take a record.
They don't have a record like
Oh.
planes. They all have a black box, right? They all find out what happened, they learn from that, they find what failed. But with helicopters, they don't. So there is no kind of evolvement or learning from why this plane crashed. They have to just like literally sift through the rubble and try to figure it out.
I mean, I imagine the forensics would be pretty good and it's more likely to crash on land than in the sea.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm guessing, I actually don't know, but it's
I
still,
don't know either.
black box would be handy.
It would, yeah. So I think because helicopters are, they cost a fortune. It's not like you go, oh, I'm just going to buy a little helicopter for, $50,000 or something. They're pretty expensive. So
But
I think
most
that,
of my friends have one. You don't have one?
no, I do know people who do. I've got clients who have their own helicopters, which, yeah, wow. But no, I wouldn't want one, to be honest. Like, I'll go in them. I don't have that much of a problem, but yeah.
And also, I was lying. Nobody I know has a helicopter, and I wouldn't want one. I would get scared in a helicopter. I'm pretty sure. I
Have
don't
you ever
know.
been in one?
No, I've been in like light planes. Like
Yeah.
I had this boat journey in Thailand where after like 3 hours sleep because I'd been partying, I had to get a 4 hour boat to PP Island,
Oh, yeah.
and it was in rough seas, and I felt so ill. I was like, I'm not getting a boat back.
Mm.
So I chartered this tiny little seaplane.
Oh, yeah.
It was so cute and little, and you get, you go out to the little pontoon and it picks you up and it's just you and whoever else. And it's like being in a helicopter. It's
Yeah.
little, it will go wherever you want and good views.
I don't like little planes. They freak me out. We went on a plane in the Milford Sound, which is in the South Island of New Zealand. And it's like they've used it a lot in, like, I think, Lord of the Ring movies. And it's just this beautiful where these massive, like, kind of cliffs and mountains and the sea. I guess it's the sea. Is it
like,
the sea or an ocean, river? I don't even know.
I reckon it's the fjords, right?
Like, yeah. Is that ocean or?
That's ocean. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely stunning. But we took this little tiny plane. I think there was 6 of us that it could fit, and flew over these mountains. And I basically had not a panic attack, but I mean, you're bouncing. And I know turbulence is just air pockets, and I know all the terminology behind it, but I was like, oh my God, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I don't want to die. I'm gonna die. You know, and the people on the plane are like, shut up. You're ruining the experiences for us. And poor Grant is like, oh my God, you're okay, babe. I was a mess.
Oh, do you know, I wouldn't cope with that. Like, even getting in a chairlift in Singapore to, like, go to Sentosa Island, I was like, it was bouncing in the wind, and I was like, I just had to go into meditation, go into trance until it was over, because otherwise I was freaking out.
Yeah, that's what I do. I just take myself into trance. That's what I finally did with that plane.
But you know, I've been saved because my worst nightmare was going to be happening this year.
Mm-hmm.
So did I tell you I'm taking a tour of India in October?
Yeah.
So I'm going to be doing a cultural and spiritual tour, a small group thing, and part of the tour is you got to get this bus up the Himalayas.
Yeah,
so
that sounds safe.
9 hours
in India.
And it's on a cliff edge, like up the mountains on a cliff edge with a sheer drop. And my friend she's been doing the tour for 6 years. She's invited me to come and help lead it. And she's like, look, Daryl, this bit is really, really freaky. It's absolutely terrifying. You think you're going to fall off the whole time. And I'm sitting there freaking out. I've agreed to do this, to go here. And I'm like, I'm going to jump out that bus at the bottom and have to walk up the Himalayas, because there's no way I'm coping with that. In New Zealand, the roads are a bit windy and not very good when you go up north.
Yeah.
That freaks me out. So the Himalayas is...
But you're so hypnotizable. You'll be fine.
Well, I did say, like, I'll just go and get hypnosis. But then I said to the universe, like, sort this out. There must be another way up the mountain. Lo and behold, our local Indian guide says, look, I've decided to change things up this year. And we're going to save some time and just fly you up.
Oh, nice.
And back. And I'm like, oh, thank God. We're like, okay, it's going to be less money because it's going to cost us more to pay for the flights for the group, and we're not charging more for that. Yeah. But I was like, I don't give a fuck. Yeah. If I don't have to go up that creepy, windy death road, then I'm more than happy. Because you don't have to have a phobia to be freaked out by things that could fucking kill you.
Exactly. I like being alive personally.
Yeah.
And I also like not being mortally wounded, or, I guess for me, I had that terrible car accident, which I've talked about, I'm sure, lots of times on the podcast. But, it took me, 6 to 9 months to walk normally again. It took me about 5 years to not be in chronic pain. It took me about a year to not have impulsive rage and try to beat people up on the street that I didn't like. Well, it was normally people who deserved it, but that's another point. But
it doesn't feel good to go through that shit.
No, it's horrific.
Do you know, my brother, he lives in Australia, in Melbourne. And a couple of years back, we saw it on the news, but we didn't know it was him. He'd been driving along the motorway, 4 lanes, and this truck had swiped him. His car had spun round, going across the barrier in the middle into the oncoming motorway traffic. It'd been smashed and crumpled right up.
Oh my God.
Now, the whole 4 lanes both ways of the motorway was closed. Helicopters were all round. There was all the ambulances and the fire trucks, and he had to be cut out with the jaws of life.
Wow.
Now, he came out without a scratch.
That's amazing.
He didn't even have whiplash. He had chosen his car based on what is the most safe car you can get.
Wow.
And that's what he chose. He's not scared of anything. He's always putting himself in much more dangerous situations than I have historically as children, for example. He'll go right up to the edge of the cliff where I'll be like 10 meters back.
Same.
But, if you like being alive, you can take precautions.
Yeah,
exactly. It's okay.
Exactly. That reminds me of a story, actually, when I was probably about 13, and my father would pick me up on the weekends. You know, my parents are divorced, and so my father would come pick me up, and we go and visit my grandparents right before, because my grandparents lived close to where I did. So we went and popped in and said hello to them, and we get back in my father's car, and the car wouldn't start. And it
Yeah.
was like a little Toyota. And so my grandparents just go, oh, well, take ours, and then you can come back and, you know, get it fixed. Yeah, I think. Anyways, I don't need to ramble on with the details. So we get into my grandparents' car, which was a Volvo.
Did it smell like old people?
No, it did not. My grandparents did not smell. Thank you very much. It was a relatively new Volvo. And so we get in that, and they both, sets of my grandparents always drove Volvos for years because they were the safest cars, right? That you could,
Yeah.
at least in America, that you could buy. I mean, it was literally like a 2-second exchange. Oh, that car's not working. Okay, take this car. Bob, off we go. So we're driving down the motorway. We had gotten McDonald's, right? So we're eating. I'm
Yeah.
eating my cheeseburger and fries. And we see this black thing come flying across the motorway, this massive, and it's getting closer. And I'm like, what the hell? My
What?
dad's like, fuck. And smack goes, it was a tire off of a big rig,
Whoa.
weighed about 400 pounds. And what had happened was, and it stopped us dead. We literally went from going 60 miles an hour to complete, I mean, just, and
Shit.
my McDonald's went everywhere, which I was very mad about.
Because that's what was important in that
That's
moment.
what's important. I had whiplash. I had a bruise in the shape of a seatbelt. My father did as well. And yeah, this tire just crashed into the front of the car and bounced right back off. It literally hollowed out the front of the engine was up to our knees, but we got out. We didn't have a scratch on us. The only thing we had was this bruise of the seatbelt. And this poor truck driver came running across the motorway, almost getting hit, screaming because he thought we were dead, right?
Oh, fuck,
and
of course.
so he was driving on the opposite side of the motorway, and the wheel flew off, and he saw it, and it bounced in the middle of the motorway, and then bounced into our lane, and we were in the slow lane. And we're talking 4 lanes on each side.
Wow.
And went into the front of our car. And they said if you had been in any other car, you would have been dead. If you had been in, if it had gone 1 inch higher, it would have gone through the windshield and killed you both.
Fuck.
And it was, yeah. There's a photo somewhere. I've got to find the photo.
But is that again divine intervention where that could have landed on anybody's car, but it landed in front of the Volvo.
Yeah.
It landed in the exact right place at the right time, so nobody died. Like,
and the fact that if we had been in my father's car, which was like a little Toyota, we would
You'd
have
be
been
squished.
toast. I mean, maybe we'd have been a minute up the road and it wouldn't have hit us, but maybe it would have
Maybe.
hit someone who it would have killed. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah, it was crazy. There's a photo somewhere. I've got to get it off my auntie. But yeah.
You know, there's one day that my dad and my mom, they were driving into the city. So we live on this beautiful peninsula called Whangaparoa, which is about 45 minutes north of Auckland in New Zealand. And they had gotten up in the morning, and all morning my dad was going like, time is weird today. It's like, it's moving really slowly.
Yeah.
And everything, like he would do lots of stuff, but no time had passed. And it was really, really weird. And then he got onto the motorway, and then there was a truck in front of him. And as they were driving like 100 k's an hour, what's that, like 60 miles an hour?
Yeah.
This ladder starts to fall off the back of this truck, and it goes straight for their windscreen.
Wow.
And then time just slowed down again. And as it does in danger, and this ladder suddenly went sideways.
Wow.
Just like coming straight for them, then sideways and flipped.
Wow.
And again, it's like, what is this energy that protects people, that keeps us alive? Do we have guardian angels? Is it God? Is it luck? Is it our unconscious mind and we're psychically, we have telekinesis? I don't know, but
I don't know.
there's some fucking thing there.
Or this is not your time.
Yeah.
But if it is your time, then yeah, you're going to die. I don't know. Yeah, I worked with this woman who her cousin had been in this boating accident where everyone died except for her. Like the boat sank, her father, her uncle, her brother, everyone died, and she hung on to like this piece of the boat or some piece of wood or something and survived. But she was out there by herself for like 24 hours.
She didn't let him on the bed frame with her.
Oh, shit.
There was room.
No, it wasn't that. I
No.
think they crashed into something and everyone flew off or was killed. Yeah, they all died. So their bodies were kind of bobbing around her. It was really
Shit.
tragic. But anyways, she survived. And she told me the story and I'm like, fuck, that's amazing. Holy shit. And she's like, well, she's obviously meant to be here. And it had happened recently when she told me the story.
Right.
And then like a month later, she gets a phone call at work and she starts bawling and she's crying and crying. And I'm like, what's wrong? What's wrong? And she's like, my cousin has died. And I'm
What?
like, what? And she's like, the one I told you that survived that boating accident, she's just been killed in a car accident. And she said that the girl was driving with her friend and they are stopped at a stop sign and someone just came barreling along and hit them
Oh,
and killed her. And yeah, and it was like, so the poor mother, all you can think is she lost her whole family, had her one surviving child.
then a month later.
Her brother, her husband, her son had all died. And then, like 2 months later, her one surviving daughter, dies. And just this random, like you're sitting in a neighborhood at a stop sign and you get killed. It was crazy. So that's a happy little story to tell.
I mean, A, that fucking sucks. And that is
Oh.
not fair. B, Final Destination, the movie, watch it. Because it's the same.
Yeah, so I haven't watched that movie. I get too freaked out with movies like that, and then I get paranoid, and I think maybe I was supposed to die in my accident, and what if I'm on borrowed time?
Well, it's everybody else died but like one, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same theme. It's like everyone dies except for a few people, but they were meant to die, so they all die in like freaky ways over the following
Oh, no.
days that are just unbelievable. And when you told me that, I'm like, are you sure that's a real story, or is that Final Destination 5? So
Was it? Well, yeah. Well, this is real because she was hysterical, poor girl, and then she had to go to the
Yeah.
funeral, and she took a lot of time off of work. Actually, it was awful. But anyways, yeah, happy. So let's do book recommendations because you're a reader like me.
Yeah, I think that given the subject,
Mhm.
I should definitely recommend a book about demons.
As you do, yeah.
However, because I want to lighten it, and because this book has had such a profound impact on my life,
Mhm.
and through me and my clinic, it's going to have such a big effect on other people's lives, and hopefully you guys too. I want to talk about the book Why We Sleep
Cool.
by Matthew Walker.
I have not read it.
You gotta read it. I read about half of my books or 3/4 of my books as audiobooks. I just listen to them.
Mhm.
Listen to them while I'm driving or while I'm cleaning and things like that. But this book, it's full of research,
Mhm.
full of decades of research, and it's written by maybe the world expert in sleep. And because for many, many years we didn't know why we slept.
Yeah.
We think going back with hypnotherapy, it traces its roots back to the sleep temples in ancient Egypt and
Yeah.
ancient Babylon. But what they knew is if we could induce some kind of a trance or a sleep, that
Mhm.
people healed.
Mm.
And then even in Freudian times, like Freud took us on a wild goose chase with regards to dreams because we couldn't prove anything. We couldn't
Yeah.
prove his theories right on dreams or wrong. So they were kind of accepted for the time being with him as the preeminent expert.
Yeah.
But if you use Freudian analysis of dreams and try to replicate it with somebody else with the same training, you get different results. It's not replicatable. Not saying Freud's not great, but this book is like,
Freud is a dick. He had some good ideas, but he's a dick.
yeah.
Anyways.
I bump into too many people when I say he's a dick that it offends them. So but yeah,
I'm not afraid of offending people, obviously.
I don't think that Freud did a lot for mental health. To be fair, I think he's a bit of a dick. So
He didn't do a lot for women either.
no,
No, we all are jealous of penises. Yeah, right. Anyways.
he's jealous of big penises because he has a small one.
Yeah.
So if this book is what we can do now that we couldn't do then is we can look into the brain. We can put you in an MRI while you're sleeping and see what's happening. We can then create experiments that test things. Read the book yourself. I really want you to read it because there's so much in it. But in a nutshell, people generally think that, 6 hours sleep is what I get. I'm used to it. That's all I need. Bullshit. Everyone needs 8.
Yeah.
Every single person. If you don't get it, you are shortening your life drastically.
Wow.
It has a direct effect on Alzheimer's, cancer rates. Do you know one night with not enough sleep and your killer cells, the ones that hunt out those cancer cells, drops 70%?
Wow, really?
70%. What if night after night you're not getting enough sleep because you're stressed or you're working too hard?
Or you have children.
Or you have children. I mean, it's massive. That's just a couple of the areas that sleep is so important. But these over the years, these guys have measured the different things that it might do or that it does do. And this book takes you through health, mental health.
Yeah.
It takes you through disease. It takes you through Alzheimer's. It takes you through learning, the effect on learning. Everything in your life is so affected by sleep. And we all know it. We all know sleep's important.
Yeah.
I knew sleep was important, trained naturopathically,
Yeah.
and sleep is number one. But if I knew how important it was, like I do now after reading this book, I'll be shouting it from the rooftops, which is why I'm telling you about it. Read the book, Why We Sleep. It's going to save your life.
Cool. Oh, I'll definitely have to read that. I was an insomniac for years. And I had children that didn't sleep. So, yeah, I'm probably screwed. I'm going to die when I'm like 60. You know? Yeah, but I'm big on sleep now. What does he think about melatonin? What are his thoughts?
He does speak about melatonin. So what he says about it is melatonin doesn't make you go to sleep.
Yeah.
Melatonin, it's like the athlete going for a run.
Mm-hmm.
Melatonin doesn't make you go for a run. But it is the starting gun that lets your body know it's time to go for a run.
Yeah.
So as far as jet lag, amazing. Getting into a sleep routine, great. Is it going to make you go to sleep? No. There's lots of other factors. So yeah, so he thinks it's good
Mm-hmm.
in certain circumstances, but it's not the magic pill. He's also really against sleeping tablets, but I'll let you read that for yourself. I don't want to talk against Big Pharma personally, so you can read it through someone else. But
you don't like a target on your back, Daryl? Why not?
my name is Bob, remember? No, I don't want to be a target, but he does recommend other holistic things you can do to get to sleep if you struggle. So he doesn't leave you hanging. And if you're taking drugs for sleep, remember, don't come off them without speaking to your GP, your physician. If you want to come off them, speak first and get help, because those withdrawal symptoms can be dangerous.
Oh, I mean, I used to take sleeping pills and the rebound insomnia was just horrific. But what's interesting with the sleeping pills is it lowers your acetylcholine in your brain. Your acetylcholine makes your neurons fire faster and makes you feel mentally clear and have your, good memory and recall. And so it puts your risk up of dementia and Alzheimer's and, memory issues. And it's actually very dangerous for your brain. And I know for myself, I used to take melatonin all the time. And then I started taking this kind of new brand of it. And I started this is just recently, and it was low dose. It was like 3 milligrams. And I started getting terrible memory issues. And I thought, yeah, like literally forgetting, pointing to things and it would be like, what's that? And they'd be like, oh, a chair. And I'd be like, oh, that's what that's called. It was bad. And realizing that, I just needed to get in some other routines. And I'll talk about the whole hormone thing another day. But yeah, wow. So, well, I have a recommendation for a book, and it's not, it is nonfiction, but it's like a memoir. And it's by Augusten Burrows, who wrote Running with Scissors. And it's called Toil and Trouble. And I love Augusten. He is so funny. And he writes about how he is a witch, basically. And not like he's a practicing, doing spells or anything like that. But his mother would always say to him that we are a family of witches and we have influence over the spirits but it's hilarious. And the stories he tells about other people, he talks about how they bought this house kind of like out in the country and renovating it. He tells these just unbelievable stories of going to other people's houses and what these people were like. And you literally are hysterically laughing. It is so well written. He is so eloquent and he is so funny with the way he tells stories and observing people that you just can't even, you're like, is this real? Amazing.
I'm completely sold. Is this like one book, a collection of stories, or
it's it's a memoir, right? So it's kind of like, he's wrote, that's what he does, is he writes memoirs. Right. And so it's kind of just these collection of, a period of his life. And so he was kind of talking, and I think it's his latest book, and it is fantastic. So I read it twice.
Okay, I'm getting it.
Yeah,
I'm sold.
And read out several passages to people, of just in hysterics. And they're just like, oh my God, what is that book? So absolutely recommend it. So Toil and Trouble by Augusten Burrows. And then we both found we want to recommend the same TV show.
Yeah, we talked about it today. We're like, first thing, when we first saw each other today, it was like, have you seen Don't Fuck with Cats?
Yes. Oh my God.
Fucking hell.
Holy fuck is all I can say. And don't fuck with cats.
Do
How
not
horrible.
fuck with cats.
So it's this kind of, I guess you'd call it a documentary.
Yeah, I guess we don't want to say too much, do we? Because we want to let you find out for yourselves. But it's a documentary, but it feels more like a movie.
Yeah.
The way that it's been filmed, it doesn't feel like a documentary. You're into it from the start. You're absorbed. You're in there, and you're hearing a story being told.
Mm,
So it's a documentary of a story with video and audio and other people telling different parts of the story.
yeah. And it is. Should we give them a little taster about what it's about?
We have to, I think.
Yeah, so it's kind of like it starts with this one woman and she talks about how she saw this video, I guess on YouTube, was it? Or someone posted it on Facebook and it was like kind of like, what the fuck is this? And it was a video of someone, I'm not going to go into detail, and they don't show it too much, thankfully, of harming kittens.
He was fucking with cats.
Yeah. And they were just like, what the hell? And so people are like, who is this guy? Who the hell did this? And then the person posts another video and they go on this journey of trying to figure out who this person is. And they figure it out. I mean, they become these like web sleuths. And the person who they find is unbelievable. He is such a creep, but he is just like, it seems like a movie, like you said, because it is so out there. You cannot believe it's true.
And it's definitely true because
Oh.
it even shows the news clips from the time. And
You can't believe it. It's crazy. So, yeah, absolutely. 5 stars, whatever you want to give it. Great show. Just, I fast forwarded and shut my eyes for the parts where they don't show the full videos of what he does. That's horrible. But yeah, yeah, so good.
I covered my eyes even though I knew they didn't show too much. I'd already been told, don't worry, they don't show
Yeah.
too much. I'm like, I'm not taking any risks because you don't need to see it.
No, you don't.
And they don't show it you. It is tasteful the way that they do it. So that's not about the gore or it's not about the bad stuff. It is about catching the baddie.
Exactly. And that's what you got to see enough to piss you off, to go, let's find this guy and fuck him up.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. Good watch. If you get too upset by animals being harmed or horrible people, don't watch it.
No.
But yeah, if you're okay with that, like we are, yeah, absolutely great. Well, that was an eventful chat.
To be honest, it's kind of like most of our chats.
Yeah,
Not too
probably a
different.
little tamer than most of our chats.
Less of the sex and poo than usual.
So, Daryl is an amazing hypnotherapist. If you are interested in having hypnotherapy with a amazing guy from Scotland who lives in New Zealand, and he works with all kinds of issues, but he's very informed health-wise as well. So it's very good with working with health issues and cancer and anxiety. And just Daryl is the only man I trust to hypnotize me, actually, besides my partner, who's also a hypnotherapist, who we both trained.
Yes.
But amazing. And he's always the one I would call for any, like, if I ever have any questions, Daryl's my go-to. So I'm going to put a link to his Facebook page if you're interested in having a session with him or just want to check him out and say hi. And if you have any questions for us, write to us. You can, if you have a story you want us to read, or if you have a question, anything mental health related, any questions about how to get rid of demons, or you name it, we're happy to answer. You can write to us at WTF Stories and Advice at gmail.com. There's going to be a link down below. And
please do, because, me and Caroline, we're quite different. And I would love to come back one day and answer your advice completely differently from Caroline and see what you guys think. It would be a blast.
Yeah, it's funny though, because we teach together and we do have completely different styles, and how we're very similar in a lot of ways, right? We have very similar approaches health-wise, I would say, and we
Yes.
both are very kind of take a natural approach, and
Values are similar.
yeah, but we are very also different in how we work with clients and the way we would deal with things. And yeah, it's really interesting watching our students, how they kind of like look from one to the other and how would you deal with that? And how would you do that? And it can be so different.
But yet both work.
But both work.
There's
and
more
both,
than one way to skin a cat.
Yeah. And it's complementary. And neither of us go, oh no, that's wrong, and I wouldn't do it that way. Because there's a million different ways and you have to find the right way to do things for yourself. So well, that is us for today. And thank you for listening. We will be back soon.
It felt so good to meet you guys. knowing that you listen to Caroline, I know that you're amazing people. So it's great to meet you. And
Obviously.
thanks for having me in today,
You're
Caroline.
welcome. It was great. Bye.
Bye.
There goes a sight from my soul.